Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuyo, regular contributor for Buddhistdoor Global. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of The Ordinary Buddhist. The title of today's talk is Two Sides of the Same Coin. But before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. Nagarjuna was a famous Indian Buddhist philosopher who once said, Samsara is Nirvana. But in order to understand what he meant by that, we first need to define some terms. Samsara is the phenomenal world that we live in every day. More specifically, it's the world of suffering. And in Buddhism, we try very hard to break the cycle of suffering, or the cycle of samsara. On the other hand, nirvana is the state of inner peace. In the Nirvana Sutra, Buddha describes nirvana with the analogy of an oil lamp whose flame has been put out. The oil lamp is still there, but the fire is gone. So on one hand, we have the suffering of the phenomenal world, and on the other hand, we have inner peace, or the extinguishment of the oil lamp. And it would seem that these things couldn't be more different. But they are unified by something called the three poisons, being greed, anger, and ignorance. All of the suffering we experience in the samsaric world is caused by greed, anger, and ignorance. And the flame that is extinguished in Buddha's analogy is the fire of our greed, anger, and ignorance. Thus, if we give in to the three poisons, we experience samsara. If we extinguish them from our lives, we experience nirvana. So, samsara and nirvana aren't separate. They're actually unified by the three poisons. And it's the way that we react and interpret our greed, anger, and ignorance that decides which state of existence we experience. Thus, they're not separate things, so to speak, rather, they're two sides of the same coin. Just like there's a head side and a tail side on a quarter, there is samsara and nirvana in our everyday existence. The difference in Buddhism is we're very intentional about which side of the coin we choose to look at. So instead of flipping the coin randomly and allowing it to come up heads, nirvana, or inner peace, or tails, samsara, suffering, other times, we purposely choose actions, we purposely choose behaviors that allow us to realize nirvana in each moment of our lives. More specifically, during times when we're experiencing samsara, when we're experiencing suffering, we use practices like right mindfulness to realize what's happening. And then we choose the medicine that's appropriate for that time, whether it's meditation, whether it's chanting, whether it's right speech, or right livelihood, to flip the coin of our existence from tails to heads, from samsara to nirvana. Thus, these two states of existence aren't separate, they're really one and the same. And it's up to us to decide which side of the coin we choose to look at. Amitabha.